God forbid that you ever get your car stolen.
Dude, where's my car?
Or even your house burgled.
Oh my god, there's someone downstairs.
But unfortunately, that's just kind of a fact of life now. Bad things like this do happen in the world. You can always get yourself a CCTV system. There's plenty of them out there, and there's a lot of very, very cheap ones, which may look good on paper. Once you've actually got them installed, they're not very good. But I would suggest getting something like the Hilook POE NVR box. And this is the Hilook NVR box. So let's have a look, see what we get inside the box. So we get the quick user start guide, which should give you a bit of information on how to set up the box, what all the ports do on the back of the box as well. We've also got the power pack. So this end goes into the back of the NVR box, and a regular kettle lead will go in there, which does actually come with the box itself. So there is the kettle lead for the power adapter. We have a power connector there as well. We have a SATA cable. We have got some screws to allow us to screw a hard drive into the NVR box. We get a mouse that comes with the NVR box as well, so a USB optical mouse there. We get ourselves a network lead as well, and we have the Hilook NVR box. So we've got a couple of indicator lights up here. So we've got a power light, we've got a hard drive activity light, and we've got a network light as well. So it is plastic all the way around. On the back, we've got our 48 volt power connector there. We have a VJ port to connect a monitor. We've got a HDMI port which allows us to connect a monitor as well. We have the network port, so we can join it onto a network. We've got 2 USB ports, and we've also got 4 POE network ports as well. So because they're POE ports, it allows you to send power as well as data through the cable to the cameras. So you don't need a power cable to your cameras as long as they're POE as well. So the one cable will do both power and data. On the bottom of the box just gives you a little bit of information of the model of the Hilook box, which in this instance is the NVR-104-H.265. So we've just powered up the Hilook box, and this is the first screen that you'll see, which is where you need to activate the box. So you need to give yourself a username and a password. So in this instance we'll leave it as admin, and I will quickly create a password right now. We need to do an IP camera activation password as well. Okay, so the device is now activated. Just tells you to keep hold of your password. Do you want to export the GUID file for password resetting? It's probably recommended to do that, just in case you do forget your password and you need to reset it. In this case I will say no. Now it wants you to draw a pattern, so this is a bit like unlocking your mobile phone. So what we'll do is we'll just go down there, draw a little pattern there. Just want you to do it again to confirm, so we'll just do that one. What language do you want the system in? We'll leave it in English, so we'll apply that. Just general settings, so what kind of resolution do you want? Your time zone, so I'm in the UK, so we'll find Dublin, Edinburgh and London. How you want your date format. Okay, so it's looking for cameras now. There isn't a camera currently plugged in, so if I just grab an IP camera, let's connect it up and we'll get it all set up. So this is the camera we'll be using. It's got a network port on there and a power port as well. So if we get our network leads, we'll plug it into the port on the camera. As you can see, we've got our POE ports there. So if I connect it into number 1, that should start pairing up the camera as well. So we'll give it a few seconds. You do usually hear a click on the camera. As you can see, the infrared lights have come on, so it's definitely getting power to the camera. You normally have to wait around 30 seconds, something like that, and the cameras tend to do a little click. Right, so we've waited about 30 seconds or so now. So if I press search on the box, so the box is searching for how many cameras that are plugged in. As you can see there, the camera has popped up straight away. So if I exit, yep, we'll exit. As you can see, the camera is working on the screen at the moment. It's saying all hard drives are not initialized, so you need to make sure that you do that. So we've put a brand new hard drive into this box, so it needs to be white before we can record anything onto it. You don't get that when you first turn the box on, because obviously there's no cameras there for it to even detect the hard drive. So yes, we want to initialize the disks. If we go to our menu screen and we go to a hard drive, because we need to make sure the hard drive's working. So as you can see there, it's the 2 TB hard drive. Status is normal, which is what you want to see. You can read and write to the drive, pretty much all the space left in there. So if we go to the record button on the right hand side, we want to make sure we're on continuous recording. You can set the box up to do motion detect, which is quite useful as it can save space on the hard drive. But if you haven't set up the motion detect properly, you might miss some footage. So if you've got the space on the hard drive, I would usually recommend doing a continuous record. If we go through the different options now, so this is camera 1, so this is the camera that's currently plugged in. As you can see, we can record video. These cameras don't support audio, but if it did support audio, in this drop down here you'll have video and audio, and you can enable the audio. We can film in 1080p. We can drop the resolution, which means that you'll save a bit more space on the hard drive, but your picture quality won't be as good. You can select between a variable or a constant bitrate. Video quality, highest, higher, medium, low, lower, lowest. We're currently on medium. We're going to knock that to highest because we've got quite a large hard drive in there, so I prefer the video quality to be quite high. Right, you can set the frame rate as well. Sometimes you don't need full frame on there. You can get away with stuff like 10 frames per second, which once again saves some space on the hard drive. If you want things to look as fluent as can be, then I recommend leaving it on full frame rate, which is what we'll do in this instance. Right, this is your bit rate, so how much data do you want to be sent from the camera to the box and get recorded. Obviously the smaller you go, the less space you'll take up, but you'll lose a lot of quality by doing that. The default is set at around 4 meg, is that? So we'll leave it on that. We can go to 8 if we want to, but we'll leave it on 4. Once you've set up your cameras, if you're not happy with the image quality, it's worth coming back to this screen and just making a few changes. We can save the files as H.264, which is a compression format. A lot of newer boxes have H.265, which compresses the files even more, but you do get good compression with H.264. We got the substream there, so it's normally when you use mobile phones or preview the videos, it does it in a smaller resolution, so it's a lot quicker to actually access the files. It doesn't use as much bandwidth, so we'll leave that as it is. But when you do actually record stuff, it does come down as 1080p. Advanced, so we've got overwrite ticked at the moment, which means that if the hard drive gets full in the Hilook box, it will begin overwriting previous footage, which is what we want. You've also got holiday mode, so you can set your camera to do different things at certain points in the year. Let's go back to playback and see if anything's been recorded yet. Okay, so we've put a tick in the camera box. As you can see, today's date has lit up blue, which means it's actually got some footage on there. So if you double click on that, as you can see, that is when we first connected the camera up. Down here you've got these little bars as well, so you can drag through the footage. So if we knew something happened, let's say at 3:17, we let go there, and the time jumps to 3:17. So as long as you've got an idea of when an incident happened, you can just go through this timeline and select the time. Obviously we're up to 3:18 at the moment because the camera's only just being connected. So what else have we got on this Hilook box? So we've got playback to look at previous footage. We have got export, which allows us to pull videos from off the box. So what we can do is we can do a search. So you put a tick next to the cameras you want to search. So for us, we've only got camera 1 at the moment. So if we do a search there, so it's done a search from when we first connected the camera up until now. It gives you the file size and you can just play the file there. If you want to export the file, if we put a tick in the box, we press export. Now it's going to ask where you want to export to as well and what format. You can save it as an MP4 or an AVI file. Now this is where you can start plugging USB sticks into your Hilook box, and you can save directly to a stick. I haven't got one to hand at the moment, unfortunately, else I'll connect one up. but that's a really useful feature if you've got an idea of something that you need ripping off the box. You've got manual recording as well, so you can set when you want the camera to record. I don't really use this, I leave it continuously recording. You've got your hard drive information, which it tells you the status, so it's always worth checking out this status just to make sure that your hard drive isn't failing. You've got the record button where you can start doing events, you can do motion detect at certain points of the day, but we're just going to leave it on continuous recording. You've got the camera button as well, so if we click on that, as you can see we've got D1, D2, D3, D4. Because it's a 4-port box, we can have 4 cameras in here. If you've got a little play button in the status, that means your camera is working, so if you just tap that, you get the live view from the camera. It tells you what the IP address of the camera is as well. You've got the POE configuration, so it tells you how much power is being drawn from each of your cameras as well. Obviously we've got one camera connected at the moment, we're using 2.5 watts, up to 3.1 now. But we've got this remaining power, so even if we connect 4 of these cameras up, we should have plenty of power left in the box. The Osd Settings, that allows you to change the name of your camera as well. So in the bottom right corner there, you can see it's camera 1. You can just rename it, press apply, it'll change the name of your camera. Image, you can change the brightness of the camera. So that's got slightly brighter, let's drop it back down to 39, which is the default setting. Change your contrast, change your saturation. We've got rotate mode as well, so we can rotate 270 degrees. So if we do that and apply, as you can see the camera's gone on its side now. So that's useful depending on how you mount the camera on the wall. But we'll go back to normal. And we've got mirror mode as well. So if I point it that way, so we can mirror mode left and right, so that flips the image around. You've got up and down, so it should go upside down, and we have got center as well, but we'll just go back to off, so that's how we want the camera. PT's there, that is point, tilt, zoom, so if you've got a camera that allows you to move the camera using one of these boxes, that is what you need, but at the moment this camera doesn't have that function, so we can't show you that. We've got motion, so you can set the motion detect. So for example, if something happens up in this top left corner here, we can select these boxes, and anything that happens in this corner, it won't save, so it won't do any recording. But if there's movement in the top left, it'll start recording. But because we're filming 24/7 anyway, we're just going to leave that. Privacy mask, a little bit like motion, but you set zones where you just don't want it to record. Video tampering, so I presume it's if somebody starts messing about with the camera, it should send an alarm to the box that tells that something's amiss and something's not right with the camera. Video loss, so once again, if something happens, for example, let's say your hard drive's failing or your network lead becomes disconnected, you can set an alarm on there, so your box will start sending an alarm so you know something's not right with your CCTV system. And VCA, I believe that is for vehicle registrations, but once again the camera we've got doesn't support this feature, so I can't show you that. We have got configuration, so just basically your time and your date. We have got network, so if you want to connect this to your network, you can do that. So there is the IP address of the box at the moment, but it's using DHCP, which means that your IP address will change, so you might want to untick that box and give the Hilook box a static IP address so it doesn't change on your network. Platform access, I believe this is if you want to start viewing the box remotely. I think that's to do with remote access as well, not totally 100% sure what these do. Email server, so I believe if it detects motion you can get an email sent to yourself. It tells you what ports they are on there, so I believe if you do port forwarding from your router at home, it allows you to view this box through your network. We've got some more server ports there. We haven't got the alarm function. Live view, so it's going to use the VGA port or the HDMI port. At the moment we've got it selected 2 and 2, which means we have 2 boxes each side of the screen to display 4 cameras. We can switch 1 to 1, but if you've got 4 cameras, you're probably best leaving it on 2 and 2. Enable audio output, so you can get audio through the box as well. Exceptions, so that little exclamation mark that came in the bottom corner earlier on, you can tick these boxes. So if it sends an email, you can get a little alert on the box to say that the box has done something. User, so we can set up multiple users on the box as well. So we've got the admin here, which has got admin rights. You can set up other users, so you can set up a guest user or an operator, which gives them access to the cameras, but they can't make any changes on the box, so they won't be able to delete the camera or add a new camera on there. You need to be an admin to do that, and you need to be an admin to be able to set this up as well. Under the maintenance, we've got a QR code here. You've got an IVMS client, which is a piece of software that you can install on your mobile phone or your PC, which allows you to remotely view the cameras. That just gives us some information on the camera to say we've got 1 camera connected. It tells you what bit rate it's recording at the moment, the resolution. We're set for continuous recording as well. If the alarm goes off, we get a log of what's happened. Gives you a bit of network information, so it's the IP address of the box and its subnet gateway. Some information on your hard drive as well. It tells you how much free space you've got, how big your hard drive is. We got log information. Import and export the config file, so if you set your cameras up, you can export your configuration file. So anything that you've changed, for example like your bit rate or your name of the cameras, you can export that information, put it onto a USB stick. If your box fails and you get yourself a new box, you can just import the information back in, which means you don't have to manually set up each of your cameras again. Upgrades, I believe this is to upgrade the firmware on your box, but we haven't got any firmware to upgrade. If you run into problems, we can restore to default settings, back to factory settings, or we can restore to inactive. Net detect, so that detects if it's on a network, which we are not at the moment, that's why we've got nothing coming through. Hard disk drive detect, so we've got smart settings, so it's basically checking the hard drive all the time to make sure there's no issues. We've also got a bad sector detection as well, so we can run that on the hard drive to see if there's any errors. So if it's green, it's all good. If you get any red blocks in there, you've got damaged sectors, and I would probably recommend swapping your hard drive at that point. We got system service, not quite sure what a lot of this stuff does. We can change the password, so every time you plug a camera in, you'll just activate the camera. And we have got shutdown as well, so we can log out, we can shut the box down, or we can just reboot the box. So as you can see, the Hilook box is very affordable, and there was no issues at all during setup. We literally gave the box a username and a password, we plugged our IP cameras into there and they were automatically detected, so you don't really need to be technically sound when it comes to using one of these boxes. As long as you put a hard drive in there, a lot of them come with the hard drives anyway pre-installed, connect your cameras up and away you go. It's automatically set to continuous recording, so you can't really go wrong. Just make sure that you initialize the hard drive when you first have the box and plug your cameras in. Apart from that, you're good to go. The star rating on the Hilook NVR box will be 9 stars out of 10. If you like the content that's been created on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. You'll find it in the bottom right of each of the videos.